What's going on, Alamo City Movie Talk? Obviously, I am not the familiar face that you all see all the time. Ryan is currently on vacation right now in, I believe, Disney World. Um, Fun to him while we suffer with the rain. Long story short, I am here to cover. As always, my name is Justin, aka at Dose of Stir.
And I'm David, aka 11th Hokage. I've been on the show a few times if y'all do recognize me.
And today we are reviewing Marvel's Eternals, the newest Marvel movie that's come out, which comes out actually this Friday. And today is Wednesday the 3rd. It comes out on the 5th. And yeah, so we went ahead and we saw this movie, and we're going to get to it. We're going to go ahead and start off with this is going to be non-spoilers in the beginning, and then towards the end we will go with non-spoilers. With spoilers. So to kick it off, let's start out with the beginning of this film, or let's say the whole general concept of this film. David, you want to start by giving off your thoughts?
Yeah, so going into this movie, this was one comic book movie I really didn't know too much about. I really was completely blind going into it with the Eternals. I knew a little bit of the Celestials as far as Marvel comic books, so that's the only really thing I knew about it. So going in, I really didn't know what to expect, but all in all, there was some things that, could have been a little bit better, with a lot of things, but overall, I didn't think the movie was that bad. I thought it was actually really well. The story did make sense to me. I was able to follow it. I did like a lot of the visuals. I think the visuals in this movie were very, very well done. And then as far as down even to the cast, to all the actors and actresses that portrayed the Eternals, I think they did it very well, and I felt like each one of them, you could tell, they brought their own personality to each one of these Eternals. That each one of them was different, so I really did appreciate that in each of them.
Yeah, so I know coming right off the bat, there was some things that certain critics did say that that kind of sparked people saying how diverse the cast was. Like a lot of these people, some of them, big movie stars, some of them minor, and then a lot of them that were like famous in their own way in the entertainment industry. But yeah, I do agree with that. The cast did bring, a little bit different to, just the characters alone. Angelina Jolie, probably one of the biggest names in Hollywood. Honestly, I loved her in this role.
Same.
The Athena role, in the Athena, not Athena, it's Athena.
Yeah, drop the A.
It kind of reminded me of when she was in Beowulf. That whole that lore type, in the past. I loved her acting in this film.
Yes.
And then of course from everybody else, it was very, very great. I did enjoy how we both said that this brought a lot of the history of Marvel, their universe, the lore and everything, stuff that we didn't know and did know, as far as the past and everything, and then of course some surprises on certain things that we just did not know happened and everything. And it did go on, to show that of course they've been here since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
And of course it tells the story of from the beginning up until the movie that we see. And in all honesty, I can see why critics did not like this film. Obviously, if you are used to the the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe right now, Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man, the more familiar faces, you're going to be a little bit confused, especially the people who were critics here that know nothing of Marvel in general, or just basically just seeing the film as it is. So I felt like this is going to be one of those movies that not popular with critics, but popular with the average moviegoer itself.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100% agreed.
Yeah. So so as far as everything besides cast and everything, going piggybacking off of you what you said, um, a lot of the action sequences, the fighting was amazing.
Oh
Uh,
yes, one of the things that I did really appreciate was again going back to how many of the Eternals there were. Each one, got their own little shine in the spotlight, showcasing their own power. So I
mhm.
really did appreciate that everyone got to showcase what they can do. My favorite personally was Gilgamesh. I loved when he would, turn on the arm around his hands and just punch, just straight hit. I loved seeing every time, and just the sound effects that they made for the movie. Like, as soon as he'd hit something, you just heard that big bass in the theater. I loved it.
For me personally, it was Makari. Like I love
Makari?
the whole speedster and everything. I felt like
Yeah.
that's what Flash should have been. Like his whole movement and everything, like just the action and him fighting and stuff like that. Like that right there, that was perfection right there. I was just like,
Yeah,
oh, that was
the
great.
her big fight scene near the end of the movie, that was what I would imagine in Justice League. That was the way Flash was going to fight Superman. Fortunately, that didn't happen, but it was very well done because it literally showed her as a speedster, running back and forth, just bang, 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 bang. You can't catch her. So like
Yeah,
I loved her little showcase at the end where it really showed what she can do. I really loved that. It was very well put together.
yeah, and you also gotta appreciate how I know this is like a stereotypical like alien coming down to Earth and understanding human type emotion where they they come to, to Earth with the sole purpose and they find the beauty in the human race.
Mm-hmm.
They captured that very very well in here. Druig especially as a character, he although the rule was they were never to interfere, Druig felt that it was painful
So
to
yeah, to
watch
watch.
the human race destroy each other, which made him understand why these people and this planet was worth fighting for and why it was so different from the rest of them, which I loved. Like honestly,
Yeah.
like that's yeah. I mean, you get that in some films when it has to do with extraterrestrial or stupid enough like Futurama explained that too as well, that there's beauty in
Just
the human race.
explaining what
Yeah,
humanity is from another perspective, like trying to
yeah,
give. And that's so odd because we as the human race created this, so we're trying to give perspective on the human race from something that we created ourselves. So that concept, I think, added so much more for me. As piggybacking from what you said for Druig, I think that added so much character development to him, that it was very well told, his side of the story.
yeah. Also, too, what I like too, there wasn't a lot of there was some comedy relief in here, but it wasn't
Yeah.
a lot. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
overwhelming or anything like that. I know, some people, like you said, were gonna expect a Guardians of the Galaxy type feel to it, which obviously that's not it. It's more of a serious like tone to the film, which is something that we needed. But of course, it did have its moments where there was some good comedy relief to where it
Yeah.
wasn't it wasn't like, oh my god, like
It
okay,
wasn't like, oh, that's a knee slapper joke, ha ha ha, in
yeah,
the theater.
uh,
It was a light chuckle, like just to break the tension of the, like, you're having all this serious conversation. It's like, oh well, all right, throw that in there. All right, cool. We're calmed down. All
yeah,
right, we're flowing again.
yeah,
It was nice.
yeah. It was really really good. I enjoyed that part. But yeah, I mean, besides all of that, the story alone, very excited to see where it's gonna go, because it does dive deep into it explains lore and then it shows where we're gonna go as far as what's next in the MCU,
Hmm.
which is a story that I know a lot of people have been wanting to see. Obviously, the film leads to so many questions. what's going to happen and everything. And one thing that that I found funny was the comment from Nate Moore, one of the producers, how he said that there's no need to be a sequel for this movie, and which it's true. There's no need to be, but this is a foundation to build off of for the next set of films to go off of. So I did agree with them there, but at the same time, it kind of felt like his comment there, like, kind of, I guess, pissed people off and everything like that, and kind of made people be like, oh, okay, so you're saying this movie's not worth watching, which is by far like false. Like,
That's very far from it. I would say, to someone who's very dedicated into the MCU, this one really is one worth watching. It really is. It is very, very well much worth the time to put in to go and see this film.
Yeah, and there was I liked to the reactions from the crowd that was there in the theater after, when the credits were rolling, that you could hear them asking questions about, okay, so is this person going to be like involved now? Is this person canon, or is this and that? Like,
so with this movie, there's a lot of questions, I mean, because now we're diving into more of the galaxy, the universe of the MCU. So I mean, there's now literally endless possibilities of what we're potentially going to see. So being with this one, leaving it off the where it did, we're left with a lot of questions that hopefully within the next couple of years are going to get answered and lead to something that's going to just be completely mind blown. So
agree.
I don't know. This movie was very, very well written. I'm excited to see what's going to come after. Just go watch it. Go get your own opinion of it. I personally, again, I say it's worth watching. It is a nice addition to the MCU lore. I'm excited to see what's going to happen next.
Awesome. Well, with that being said, let's give our ratings. So I'll let you go first. On a scale of 1 to 10, what do you rate this film?
On a 1 to 10, I would say probably a 7.
Okay, that's where I was going. 7.5.
Yeah, because it was it was very well. It was a good movie, but I wasn't blown away from it. I wasn't, at the end like, oh, I need another one, or yes, I have questions, but it didn't leave me excited at that excited at the end of the movie. It really didn't. But overall, I think it was a good movie. I just think there's some things that could have been better. Some things I feel were left out. Some things that should have been explained more. But it is what it is.
I totally agree. And then, of course, to end this part right here with Ryan's famous question: was this the film that we deserved? Deserved or needed? I'll go off of that first.
Go ahead.
I don't think we deserved this movie. I think we needed it. Because, like I said, like, we needed this film if we wanted to go deeper and tell more stories.
Yeah.
From Marvel. This right here is something that we needed to have in the MCU to build. Not only from these characters, but bigger characters that that we can only hope to see later on.
Yeah, I'll agree with on that, because for me, the biggest thing to come out of this movie is literally the Celestials. The Celestials bring everything. In my opinion, my favorite parts of Marvel were because of the Celestials. So being that now we have the Celestials, that's why I say they have free range. They can bring out whoever and just shock everybody every time now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited to see. As far as, like, to answer your question, I will agree with you on it. I don't know if it was what we deserved, but I will say it was what we needed, solely based on because they brought the Celestials out in this movie.
Yeah.
That, for me, that was the biggest tie-in for this movie. I feel like that was its reason to fully introduce the Celestials.
Mhm. Well, all right. That settles that. So, with that being said, right now we're going to continue with spoilers. So, obviously, if you haven't seen the film, you know, cut away from this part, go watch it. If you don't care, you still want to hear the spoilers because I know there's a lot of people out there that would rather just hear spoilers and then go watch it. Yeah, then go ahead and stick around. So we will start with some spoilers right now. So I guess we'll start off the film, the beginning of the film. Um, if there's anything that you wanted to add, that was something that was a favorite from the start of the film or anything like that.
What I really liked each time that they showed it, going back to the visuals of the movie, I loved when they brought all of the Eternals out and they all showcased their powers. So like from, again, my favorite was Gilgamesh, just watching him turn on his armor fist and just start beating up the deviants. That was amazing. Angelina Jolie whipping out her sword and shield,
Mm-hmm.
amazing. I did. That was probably, for me, that was the best parts of the beginning, because it really gave me that feel of the Avengers movies, the scenes that they do when they're all,
All
going
together.
camera, Captain America, Thor, there's Hawkeye, there's Black Widow, going one by one. That was my favorite part of the beginning of this movie, when it introduced them all that way.
Yeah, just right off the bat, just went
Yeah,
right
it's
into
like,
that,
here they are.
what everybody can do. Like it was amazing. Like, and so that's probably like some things I kind of like, that some movies need. It needs to show like right off the bat, like what can this person do? Like, um, but going into the film, I I enjoyed how they showed parts of history
Yes.
that they were a part of. You know, them being a part of Babylon, which was probably one of the biggest
Yes.
parts of the movie, showing that they were the sole reason why Babylon was the biggest city that ever existed,
Yeah,
at
they
least at
were
that
the
time.
reason. Yeah, that was real good.
Yeah, and then of course showing different parts. I mean, although this is not part of the beginning, the part with how do you say the name? Fastos or uh, Fastios?
With the main
Fastos?
Celestial?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, no,
Um,
it was
brain memory.
Arshim.
No, no,
Arshim.
no. Uh, Fastos is that? Jesus, I'm like, oh, I know I'm butchering his name. Well, anyways,
At the
um,
end credit scene?
yeah, yeah. Oh, no, no, no. I'm sorry. He was the Eternal that built like the engines and stuff like that. Like he built the technology and all that.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, yes, Fastos.
Yeah.
Fastos.
So one thing I liked was that he like him wanting to be involved in the advancement into the human race. You know, wanting to
Yes,
use
yeah,
the technology to
yes,
do that, and then of course seeing the backfire of it.
yeah,
Um,
that he wanted to help us progress, and to basically show the Eternals were the ones that created the steam engine. That,
yeah,
I think, was amazing part. That like, I like how Marvel shows its, or twists its lore into it, to real world history with things like that. Like, it's not part of the Eternals, but one thing, for if anyone doesn't know, the reason that the lore of like dragons in the world actually comes from, Marvel used that as dragons were an alien race that came down to Earth, and that was why they were used in that design in ancient lore, was because they were an alien race. And I thought that was so cool. So for Marvel
yeah,
to do things like that, to take real world history, real world lore, and twist it to make it part of their story, I thought that was awesome. Is it like, so going with Fastos, being that he created the steam engine, he wanted to help us evolve. He wanted to create our technology, and then it showed us very clear he was the reason for Hiroshima,
yeah.
which
Well,
which
at least he had some. Well,
well,
they
he
don't
had a
really
part
say
in
it,
it.
but yeah, that he could have had a part in it.
Yeah.
Which was like it showed um, that part of him was like, you know, y'all were right, that I should not
Yeah,
gave them this
the
technology,
technology. Yeah,
because look what they did to each other, which was, obviously always a given. Like how they say in the film that war breeds, new discovery and technology. That's how the human race, developed itself.
evolved. Yeah,
Yeah, and evolved.
it's the war.
Which I'm glad that they, put that all into the film, because it all just goes and ties together, with
Mhm.
real world stuff. Uh, and also too, like I also loved how they, going back on history, they incorporated, not only just real stuff, but stuff that was, stories and everything, like how they brought out, Excalibur on there,
Yeah.
uh, which was cool as hell.
Well,
Like,
Excalibur, name drop King Arthur.
yeah, name
And
drop
I
King
did
Arthur.
like that little joke too, that when Athena was wielding Excalibur, and who was it? Cersei said, "Oh, I remember Arthur always having a crush on you." Like, are you telling me that they actually knew King Arthur like that
Mhm.
way? Like that's amazing that
Yeah,
they would write that into the lore like that. Like that's so cool.
yeah, yeah, and I also too like the fact that, that they did reference that Dina was Athena, the god of war,
Yes.
and that she did, exist with the other Greek gods, which they could have been the other Eternals, or they could have been, which it would make sense, like that they
Mhm.
were the other Eternals, or but I love that they included that too. Just like it was so awesome just to hear that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, honestly, like there could be so much. There's so much that they could build off of, like, like I would hate to I would hate to say it, but like it'd be cool. I mean, if they decided, one day, like, hey, let's do like little spin-offs and show, like, their involvement in the past and stuff like that. Short Disney, you
Yeah.
did this
Like
episode.
just like to see their lives, from the time that uh uh from the time that Ajax let them go. What did they do this entire time? Like the one that I really want to know about is Druid, because it looked like he became some kind of cult leader.
Yeah,
So I want, like, these people that were there with him. Obviously, they were all wearing overalls. They were wearing white T-shirts. They were in a type of uniform,
yeah,
and they knew what his powers were. I mean, even when Sprite asked one of them when he was there, "Do you know Druid?" It's just telling him in Spanish, and all of a sudden Druid took
he
over him,
already
and
knew.
then he knew. So these people know what his power is, and it seems like they're willingly letting him, into their minds when he needs to. But I want to know why they're there. Like, they're obviously following him for a reason.
Yeah,
So I want to know a little bit of more story on that. Like what led him to that.
yeah, and and going along with that, I love how he said that, how he, for a brief moment, he thought about controlling every human on Earth, but then he saw, and that him by him doing that would make everyone lose their humanity, because that's what made humans human.
Exactly.
Which, like, it's nice to see that he also understood why he couldn't interfere with everything. Like, it's literally, it's character development for
I think
humans.
that was even something with all of them, though. Like, from the moment they landed or got to Earth, they had no idea about the human race, and then over the years that they saw us evolve, they grew a new perspective of us and an understanding of what needed to be done. Like with Fastos, with the with his technology, he wanted to give it to us. Then he saw that he was wrong for it. Druid wanted to control us, didn't want us to have war. Same thing. Saw the faults in it, where he was wrong. So it was nice to see that, put into perspective that, hey, they're also dealing with emotions, and seeing that, this race of beings is becoming something more than what they ever thought was going to happen.
Yeah,
So that I think was really cool to see from start to end of the film, with
yeah,
with with all the characters.
yeah. Especially Kingo. him.
Oh, he was
Which was
hilarious.
funny. Which was funny because like I also asked myself that question. It's like, well, if you're immortal, how do you get away with
Not
like
aging.
being famous like that? Yeah. And then of course he says like, oh look, it's my grandfather, my great great
Yeah,
grandfather.
it's like, well, you were in all these movies. What?
Yeah.
No, I wasn't. This is my great grandfather. This is my grandfather,
Yeah.
and this is me. Like
Which
I'm
like
the
I
biggest.
love that was
Yeah, I'm
funny
like I'm
'cause,
the
like
biggest dynasty in the world.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
So besides all of these all the main Eternals characters that we saw on film, we also did get a couple of other characters, of course, that that we had in here. We had Kit Carrington, who's obviously famous for other famous TV shows, which I'm gonna not say it just to make Ryan mad about it. But he played some guy in a dragon show. But with this character being in here, it brought on kind of like an ode to his previous role
Yeah,
in this show, which is awesome. Awesome that we're getting this. Which we'll go ahead and we'll talk about. I guess towards the end, we'll talk about the if you want to. Would like to talk about the end already.
yeah.
Um, so, um, but before we do that, I guess let's talk about the climax of this film. Um, so this last battle scene that we got, where the Eternals were struggling to come together to try and defeat um, Icarus, right? Icarus, right? Did I say it right?
Well, Icarus
Icarus.
when they were first fighting Icarus, and then they were trying to stop uh tri tri Tritium. I can't
Right.
pronounce his name. Triton. Yeah, the Celestial.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that whole climax of the fight scene, that I really did like that. I felt that it was a little bit rushed in as far as the emotion wise, like with Icarus, because Icarus didn't seem like he wasn't there as an antagonist, even though he was technically against them. I still don't feel he was the true antagonist. He was following orders. I mean, can you really blame the guy? He was sworn in to complete his mission, and that's what he was going to do. And then for his whole perspective to change because the time that he spent on Earth, you really can't be upset with the guy for keeping his ideals.
Yeah.
Yes, the summoning of this celestial was going to destroy the human race, destroy Earth, but it was something that was preordained to happen. So where was the real argument from him? At least in my opinion, I don't see that he was in the wrong because of that. But his fight scene, though, I think against the other Eternals was just amazing, because in my opinion, that should have been the fight the Justice League should have had against Superman, because it was amazing. Like, even the scenes that Icarus had, his movement, his like, everything just read Superman to me, but it just looked visually so much better from him
Which is
flying, his lasers, his super strength. Like, it was just it was great. And then it was pretty cool too, even in the movie, they dropped that in there. Some kid actually is like, "Hey, Superman, you're Superman!" Like, oh, bro, you can't do that. Like, yeah, oh yeah, and they did Batman. They did Batman. Yeah. That was wild. Gilgamesh.
Yeah,
that was cool. But yeah, that whole ending fight scene, when them trying to take down Icarus, was real intense, at least for me. Going back to what we were talking about with Makari, her speed, running back and forth, just jab, run away, jab, rab. He can't see her, can't catch her. That visually was amazing when she starts beating him into the side of the cliff. That was amazing. One of the parts that I really did like about that fight altogether was with Phastos, when he had Icarus locked. For me, that was a very big emotional part of the movie, just because I truly felt that the emotion of Phastos came out. Because you got to imagine, this is someone, Phastos to Icarus, you're alive all these years, you're working together on missions, you grow to be like a family. You see this person like a brother, you fight alongside them. And with Phastos, he did seem as a character that wasn't as confident, as vibrant as someone as Icarus. He didn't have super strength, lasers. He didn't have that. He had his intellect and his forging, which is probably not a top tier power. So he always felt, like he was beneath his brother. That's the feeling that I got from that. And then for him to, when he got him locked and was holding him and said, like, this is, it feels good to finally hold you down, to be above you, like that. I really felt that.
Yeah, you
in the
felt
character.
His true, like his power just come out.
Yeah, like he was really finally he was on top. He bested his brother for the first time. He finally got his time in the light. So I really felt that from Phastos, or from Brian Henry. He did a great job as Phastos. I will give him that. He did very well.
I truly felt like every character got their moment showing, like, excuse me, what they can do, what their power is. Like, even Sprite, even though Sprite was just basically an illusionist, she showed, like, how crazy she can get as far as, like, making illusions or doing, other stuff. It was, it was pretty good. Like, every character got their,
excuse me.
Right there, choking?
Yeah.
All right.
You just get that one dry spot in your throat. It doesn't go away.
But yeah,
let's wrap it up before I die.
Yeah. So with that being said, characters showed all the potential and everything was great. So let's go towards the end. So this film had two end credit scenes. Obviously one post and one after. But let's talk about that first end credit scene.
Okay. Yeah, that first scene was pretty shocking. I really, in all honesty, I thought Adam Warlock was going to be the one that came out first.
Exactly what I thought.
Like, I was literally thinking, I was like, dude, they just announced him. How is he really going to be here already? Like that's so wild. But no, the end credit scene was pretty shocking. But then again, for me, being that, again, I didn't know too much on who the Eternals were. It's someone that personally I'm going to have to do some research on. I'm going to have to look them up. But they introduced a character, Star Fox, played by Harry Styles, which also too was kind of shocking. But then again, he looked very good in the costume. I'm excited to see what his character is going to be. Like I said, being that I don't know that much about the Eternals, or really anything about the Eternals. And then the only thing that I know about him is that he's Thanos' older brother.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what they're going to do with him. And then being that we did just get announced for Adam Warlock, we're going to see both brothers of Thanos. So I'm excited to see where they're going to go with that.
Yeah. So that's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see where that's gonna take. And then of course we had what was his name? That came with Star Fox.
Oh, it was Eros.
Eros. And then Eros was played by Bill Skarsgård, the same one who plays Pennywise in It, which was I didn't even know that, so that was pretty cool to see. But yeah, so we get that in our first credit scene, and then towards the end, the very end, we get another introduction into a character, which honestly we didn't even think about. Kit Carrington, who was he was a character, Black Knight, which they showed, which they kind of like teased it in the film, but we didn't catch it. How them talking about King Arthur and talking about
because and the part that I completely was oblivious to up until the point when we saw it was in the beginning of the film, when him and Cersei are on their date. She took him out to eat for his birthday, and they're doing their whole little thing. When they're in the hallway and she gives him that ring, and he says, oh, this is my family crest. Like, how did you find this? Where did it? And she was like, well, I have my ways. So she in my opinion, I feel like she knew something, that he was from that lineage. Well, then now, to the end of the movie, I guess he looked up his lineage, and before he was able to say anything where he was from, we saw Cersei get abducted. But then at the end, when we had his actual credit scene, we saw him with the box with the same family crest on it. Opens it up, and it's this sword, this covered in
and
they look like bandages. It's funny. Like, we didn't get a whole lot of this scene. We didn't even get really any explanation. Literally, the only thing that we had to go off of.
We oversaw it. So obviously, when we were overshadowed by Excalibur, that we forgot that what Druig had told Thena when Druig had said, "Is that the ebony blade?" Like, no, Excalibur. And that's what Black Knight has. He has
the ebony blade.
So we didn't even I didn't even think about it until now. Just like okay, wow, I can't believe I skipped over that. Like,
but so if no one catches that, the only other thing that we got for any information to even look up what this character was that right at the end of his cutscene, you hear someone teleport into the room that he's in, looking at the ebony blade, and they don't show this person, but you just hear a voice, "Hello, Mr. Whitman," and then it's like,
no, like, "You really want to do that, Mr. Whitman?"
Oh yeah, you really want to do that, Mr. Whitman? Yes, I'm sorry, yeah. Like, you really want to do that, Mr. Whitman? And then it's like, wait, Whitman, and then go Marvel Whitman, Dane Whitman. Let's go, the third Black Knight. I know that, at least.
So. Yeah. So, and like, the only thing that I'm thinking about, like, I know it's a far stretch, but I'm like, what if it was Merlin? Because Merlin was the one who did originally.
I mean, we can't rule it out.
And we're going really deep. I mean, which would be cool. But I'm like,
I mean, yeah. So we really can now that we're getting introduced to the dark side of Marvel with Blade and all that. Yeah, it's not impossible to go into the medieval part of Marvel, or not medieval, I should say, but the dark ages of Marvel, the wizards, the knights, the dragons. I'm excited to see more of that.
Yeah. So, with that being said, obviously we've given our ratings and everything. So, I gave a 7.5. David gave a 7, with our explanations. But yeah, would you see this film again?
In theater, no. At home, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I felt the same way. Honestly, I think it's one of those movies that you could see once and then you're like, okay, like that was pretty good. And then every once in a while go back and forth and be like, oh, okay, they talked about this, or
Yeah, I would say the only time I could probably see myself rewatching this movie again is if I'm maybe only doing like a full, rerun watch of the MCU. Yeah. I don't know if I would ever be at home one day. It's like, a movie I'm going to watch? Eternals. Personally, for me, if that's going to happen, it's always going to be Avengers: Age of Ultron. That's the one. That's my go-to. So, but all around, I think it was a good movie. It was very well written. Could have been a little bit better in areas, but then again, you got to think there was 9 characters they were trying to explain in one movie, but they weren't big characters, so that's why, in my opinion, I felt like it worked. I did think that they told enough to at least get their point across.
Yeah, 100% agree. So, with that being said, this is the end of the review. Obviously, this movie comes out this Friday, the 5th. Go ahead and watch it. Let us know what y'all think. Once y'all see this video go up, put in the comments what y'all thought about the film. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you think we're stupid? Or do you think we're like, we're great and you just you agreed with us? Let us know. Whatever. And then obviously, of course, once this video goes up, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And then, of course, always like, share, subscribe. But yeah, this has been Alamo City Movie Talk. I think we did pretty damn good without Ryan here. I'm just saying. Um, but yeah. Anyways, Ryan will be back. But yeah, to end the review, as always, I'm Justin, aka at Dose of Stir.
And I'm David, aka 11th Hokage.
Thanks for watching, guys. This has been Alamo City Movie Talk.